Well, I was fortunate enough to catch Larry before he jumps on a jet plane and comes back to visit his Cybertruck.
Take residence in my Cybertruck.
Take residence in your Cybertruck. So they delivered your Cybertruck, if I recall correctly, about 2 days or 3 days before you were getting on a plane to go.
No, it was a week.
A week. You had a week. Okay, a week. And now you've been a couple of months, a few months on the road in Europe, and ready to go back and get back to enjoying your toy.
Yeah, we've been here 10 weeks. It's been 10 very refreshing weeks. I think it got a little bit long towards the end, swapping, hotel room after hotel room. But I met a lot of really good friends. I've got couple of friends still to meet tonight and again tomorrow. Had a lunch today. Just seen a lot of Tesla folks, getting to appreciate just how diverse and how active and how very interesting this community is. It's not just one kind of person. It's many different kinds of people. The enthusiasm is definitely right up at 11. It's very high, and a lot of people very happy about the outcome of the vote. Not a lot of clarity about what the future is going to bring, but I think they have a lot of confidence here. The people who are fans of Tesla have a lot of confidence in Elon, a lot of confidence in SpaceX, a lot of confidence in what he's doing with X and 𝐓𝐞𝐬𝐴I. So I think in general, the impression I get is that the fans here are pretty darn positive. I'd say that there was a lot of concern and confusion over the last year, but I think the outcome of this meeting is twofold. One, a resumption, sort of a renewal of the excitement in Tesla. Two, real concern about their shareholder rights. I think if this meeting did nothing else but awaken in European shareholders their understanding of their lack of rights due to their banks' operations, particularly in Germany, but in general.
Yes.
I think that will be a very good thing, and I think we'll see changes coming.
So you said that there's still some I don't know, confusion about the future. What would you personally, or what you're hearing, what are the biggest issues after the meeting in terms of how Tesla goes forward?
I don't think I'm confused. I think that a lot of people thought that because this vote is done, it's a done deal, Elon gets his shares. But it's not a done deal. The Tesla have agreed, whether rightly or wrong, they have agreed to abide by the Delaware court's judgment, despite the re-domestication in Texas. I regard that as a non-issue. And I regard that as a non-issue because let's assume everything goes against them. They lose the court case in Delaware after appeal. They end up having to pay those lawyers this outlandish sum of money. At that point, and it's very interesting, the judge finds that the money being paid to Elon is outlandish, and yet she's quite happy to entertain outlandish. Well, I shouldn't say that because she hasn't ruled on it.
She hasn't ruled on it.
But it appears she's quite happy to deal with outlandish sums for the lawyers who brought the case. But My view is that if they find against Tesla in the Delaware court after all the appeals are exhausted, which could be 2 years down the road,
Right.
That the new deal that will be negotiated between Elon and Tesla in Texas will provide for a restitution of that amount of money or that amount of reward, together with the future, but that it will be based upon a two-tier shareholding arrangement.
Right.
So I feel very confident that we will see an outcome that is comfortable for both Tesla and for investors, outside investors, non-Musk investors. Even if there's no clarity yet of the actual deal, I think there's clarity of understanding that, you know, Elon will be rewarded, and there it stands. Now, he's already put a stake in the ground for the future.
Right.
I mean, he's put one hell of a stake in the ground for the future. So whatever award is given to him for the future is going to be geared to what he's already announced.
Right.
He's kind of built this load for his backpack, you know. I thought to myself as he went to, you know, as he started this conversation, I think, Elon, maybe you shouldn't get quite as expansive as you're getting, because it's going to cost you, buddy. Or maybe not. Maybe he's going to be rewarded, you know, $1 trillion if he gets to 10, whatever the number is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, if he does get there, more power to him.
Yeah. The funny thing about the reward, I'm sorry, about the numbers that he's put out there, of course, Larry, you know me. Actually, Warren Redlick and I have been talking about those kind of numbers since the robot was first announced. So it's not a shock to me to think that they might have. Cern Basher put out a note yesterday, which I reported on. If they're rented, not sold, you don't even have to make 100 million a year. You just have to have 100 million deployed, and you can get to that number. This morning, breaking news, Elon just before we started recording this, put out a post on X, and he says, yes, they will be both rented and sold, but they will be rented first. So that falls completely in line with everything that we've been saying for months. Yes. About the wisdom, the wise way to go out of the gate. And that was in response to CERN, by the way. So CERN gets one.
And deserves one. CERN has been, you know,
right.
he's worked pretty hard on these numbers, and his numbers are probably, you know, the most reliable. So I think that, you know, look, first the bot has to work.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Secondly, you know, they have to actually get it to market at a reasonable price. So we're not there yet, and we're not at FSD yet. So, you know, all of this is to come. And that brings us to the share price.
Yes.
You know, people are disappointed the share price didn't go through 200. And, you know, we spoke about this before it happened. I said there'll be a pop, and then the reality is P&D, you know, production and deliveries coming down the road. Everybody knows that. It's going to be a disappointment. The numbers are not going to be very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the stock price is kind of teetering between, oh my God, you know, the resolution passed. Oh my God, P&D is coming. And then after P&D comes earnings, and, you know, earnings are going to be way below 80 cents. I mean, I haven't done the numbers yet, but in my head, I'm thinking, do we even make 60 cents?
Yeah, it probably depend a lot on how much energy gets into that pie, maybe how much profits come in services and other. Elon made a very big point about the fact that services and other is now profitable.
Services can't move the needle. The number's too small, but energy could move the needle. Unfortunately, I don't think I don't think the income from the reserves of previous years are yet to a level that, going to raise. And, it depends on what they delivered in the quarter. These things are so, unforeseeable. Time will tell. But look, if they do have a good energy quarter, will it make up the 80 cents? No.
Okay.
So, but can the stock go lower than it is now? Yeah, can. And can the stock go higher than it is now? Be tough in the next 3 to 4 quarters to get there. A lot turns on the margins that we're earning on the Cybertruck. Not that we'll see the numbers really move this quarter, but by the fourth quarter, those numbers will actually become meaningful.
Yeah, I think margins overall too. I was surprised. I had a long conversation the other day. I think it was with Nicholas regarding the battery statements that were made at the meeting with the 4680, with Elon saying, well, it's just we're better off right now to buy these batteries from CATL because they're so cheap. And my response was, you mean you can actually buy them for $4,500 per car, less than you would be buying the because you have to make up the $4,500 IRA money. And I think it was.
They don't make up $4,500. They make up $4,500 IRA money on the 4680, but they're not on the Panasonic batteries.
Right, but the Panasonic batteries are still, they still get the 4,500 on those.
No, Panasonic.
Oh, that's right. Panasonic, they split it. That's right. I think it's 30.
And that's why they can buy the imported batteries even cheaper than they can get them made by Panasonic.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. But I was thinking in terms of the 4680, if they got the ramp up more.
No, the 4680, it's clear. The 4680 with a full 4500, it's clear they're doing extremely well on those. But Elon did point out that they still got a ways to go in terms of cost.
Right.
On the Cybertruck, and it's everything. It's not one thing, it's everything.
Right.
So, getting that production dialed in, getting that volume up and getting the production dialed in, I think is still crucial.
Right. So, Larry, I know that you and I sometimes I'm the glass 100% full and overflowing, and you, of course, are the realist with the glass exactly 50-50. But do you really anticipate there will be any problem at all getting these robots to do useful work? I mean, obviously, they're already doing useful work. It's not a very big deal picking those batteries up at the end of the line and putting them into a container. But what level of confidence would you have that they will in fact be available for sale by the end of next year, which is Elon's goal?
Well, we first have to stipulate that Elon sometimes can be a little bit forward on his dates. And we also have to stipulate that I've been a little bit negative or being very, conservative in talking about the bot. I certainly didn't see it doing useful work this year. I'm not surprised that they have a couple of bots doing, placing batteries into containers, although I think those batteries are actually moved automatically, and I think they're doing that just to get a sense of the robot working. So if you kind of split the difference between my extreme pessimism and everybody's extreme optimism, I think we can anticipate a production-ready robot Optimus by mid-year next year. They seem to need to go through one more engineering iteration. I think they probably have got quite a bit of software iterations to continue to
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
do. So, the good thing about the Optimus software versus FSD has to be perfect,
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
period. Optimus doesn't have to be perfect. You lose a few robots, nobody dies.
Right.
The robot dies. That's the point. So I think we can assume that Optimus software is going to be a lot smoother, and that the curve is going to be a lot steeper. So I would say that 2025, we're going to see really useful, productive work being done in the latter half of the year, and probably they will start producing, getting into production ramp.
Mhm.
I don't see any being sold next year.
Mhm.
Or maybe, a Pepsi-Cola type deal will happen. It wouldn't surprise me if it's with Pepsi. There's a high level respect there already, and there are a lot of warehouse type operations that I'm sure, although it's highly automated, I'm sure we'll still have some physical work to do. So I see 2025, each quarter becoming more and more, the story really becoming clearer and clearer. I think, when you look at people like Ross Gerber, I know a lot of people don't like him and so on and so forth, and I'm very skeptical of him as well. But when he says, this fantasy about robots, I'm sure that reflects a lot of investment managers, a lot of portfolio managers. It reflects their thinking. But sometime in 2025,
Mhm.
and not that late in 2025, we're going to see a flip. Morgan Stanley will come out, and some of the leading guys will come out and say, wow, we got to see the robot in the factory, and wow, and Tesla will make a few more announcements, and we'll see some more video.
Mhm.
And sometime around mid-year, these portfolio managers are going to, and these analysts are going to start doing some serious consideration. So I think before the end of the year, we're going to see this being factored into the share price, and it can have really quite a startling impact on the share price.
Yeah, I was kind of interested. I thought the biggest flip, and I mentioned it yesterday in the show, was Gary Black, because Gary Black went from being a Optimus, who cares, to an Optimus believing in the 30 trillion.
Well, no, he wasn't believing in it. He said, if Elon says that, who am I to, disagree?
with
I mean, I think what he was saying is, this is really something that we have to start paying attention to. And, a lot of people are tough on Gary. I think that Gary makes a lot of sense. I disagree with a lot of that he says. I was absolutely adamant about the share buy. Well, that I was so opposed to the share buyback. And I was also, I've been, critical of some of the things he said. But some of the things that he said over time have proved to be correct.
Yeah, he's the only person on X that I subscribe to.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for Gary, but one of the things that he said, not one of the things, the thing that he said was, who am I to, gainsay Elon when he talks about it? And this is kind of this is the pointer to what's going to happen with other investment portfolio managers across the industry. So I'm very comfortable that sometime in 2025, people are going to start factoring this into the share price. What do I factor into the share price? I don't do these progressions anymore. Because the numbers are so crazy. but they're also so unknowable.
Yeah.
So all I can say is that the future is very bright when it comes to robots. The future is very bright when it comes to autonomous cars. The future remains very bright for Tesla as an auto company, but we didn't buy Tesla just as an auto company,
Right.
because the future is as bright on all the energy fronts and all the software fronts and all the AI fronts.
Right.
So, so I see, these $2,000 and these $2,600 and these very high share prices as well within the realm of possibility, very well within the realm of possibility. And if you factor in the experience of the last 10 years and the experience of the last 20 years of Elon's career, you have to give it weight.
Yes.
So that's my thinking.
Yeah. So you talk about not doing the spread, not spreading the, future quarters or future years out because it's so unknowable. I have always believed that it's so hard. I mean, for an outsider in particular to be able to figure out cost of goods sold, to be able to figure out, what the sales will be 5 years from now. But, you throw out your best shot. I think it's a lot easier on cars. I think it's actually easier on bots.
Yeah,
than it is on robotaxi. I
agree.
I think robotaxi is really hard to figure out because I don't know what the consumer is going to do with it. I can project and expect for my own use. I can imagine that if it was 50 cents a mile, I would take it to the beach instead of my own car. But if it's $2.50 a mile, I'm not going to take it to the beach. I'm going to take my own car. So, where does the robotaxi finally become something that just completely flips the entire way that human behavior takes place in the United States in particular, and then in China, et cetera? I don't know. I think it's a very
This is really why 𝐓𝐞𝐬𝐥 Invest's Monte Carlo simulation is so useful, because they have, each of these factors that you mentioned, and they make it much more granular even than that.
Yeah.
They have they have this Monte Carlo simulation, so they have a statistical variance for each of these lines, or
Right.
each of these line items.
Right.
And then they take a statistical analysis. Their statistical analysis then integrates all of these different lines so that they get a range. And they also they favor, a portion of the range and disfavor another, but that's how they reach their Monte Carlo, adjudication. But you can see the range is pretty large.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad way to look at things. My view is that the top line is so high.
Yeah.
The opportunity is so great. It's really spurious. It's pointless doing these analyses. If they solve FSD, it's going to go high.
Yes.
If they solve the bot, it's going to go high. If they solve the energy thing, it's going to go high. So if they solve the AI thing, it's good. If they have so many shots at goal, and they haven't sunk every shot that's taken at goal. They haven't. Quite a few shots that they've missed,
right.
Quite a few shots that are still in the air, so to speak. But their track record in terms of shots at goal is darn good. They are the Michael Jordan of this game, and so that's the reason why shareholders support Elon, because he is the Michael Jordan of this game. So that's the bet we're taking.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Of course, Apple regained became again the largest company in the world, at least for a day or two. Now it's this kind of three-way battle every day on the stock market, but they did have quite a significant run up, $300 billion or something in a couple of days. But it was, I think, if I could gather from the analysts that I saw talking about it, that the big deal is that your Siri is now going to be serious. You're going to be able to have a conversation with Siri or give Siri certain directions, and Siri is going to go out and take care of those. I think the one that I thought was most interesting was my mom. I'm arranging my mother's flight, and so I tell Siri to find the best flight, find the express, set up the flight. But then later on, I want to know when my mom's going to arrive and what time I should leave for the airport to pick her up on time. And it will look at the texts that went between me and my mom. It will look at the information that it might have been part of in terms of arranging the flight. It'll go and look and see what the flight's coming in now at this exact moment, and then give you, knowing how far it is to the airport, put all that together and say, you should leave about 2 o'clock. I mean, that would be a cool thing to have. What I took from that was what everybody's been saying about embodied AI is that how much better would that be if it was my robot that did that?
Well, why would the robot doing it be any better than you doing it?
Because the phone is kind of what do you want to call it? It's not a personality.
It's not human friendly.
It's not human friendly. It's just a brick over here that I happen to get a lot of information off. And I have a lot of other uses for that brick. I have to, I'm using it for all kinds of things that I do all day long. But if I got my bot sitting over here and I go, hey, what's happening with that flight with mom? I think it's just going to be better, quite frankly. But it's the kind of thing I think that everybody's talking about, where when you embody the product, whatever that is, whether it's your refrigerator, all these weird things that they do with refrigerators now, where it's supposed to tell you, what to order on your next trip to
no refrigerator's actually gone through the roof in terms of value because of that.
No, but if it went to next step and it was integrated with your phone, and your phone was picking up that information, and now you have a list on your phone based on the aisles at your grocery store, whatever, I mean, I used to do that. I used to set up my Costco by the aisles. I would have this aisle, this aisle, this aisle, this aisle, because I didn't want to be sitting there all day long figuring out what I was doing. So I made a $700 run every 6 weeks or whatever to take care of my family. And so, if I could have my aisles all laid out and just go over and boom, 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 boom. I mean, but I would, maybe I send my robot.
Far better just to send the bot down to Costco and then let the bot just bring it all back.
That's right.
Why go yourself in the first place?
Right. That's right. Yeah.
In fact, why get out of bed? I mean, that's the danger of the whole bot thing.
Yeah.
Is that the human being becomes a lump.
Yes, we saw this on WALL-E. That's like not my favorite movie ever, but it's my favorite scene ever. Is when the little dumpy WALL-E is being carted from place to place with his drink in his mouth, and it's like, oh my gosh, that would be horrible. Although he looked quite happy.
Yeah, it depends what we mean by happy.
Yeah,
now we're getting into, now I think we're getting a little off the subject. So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, times are going to change, and we're going to see those changes, and we're going to have to live through those changes.
Yeah.
I don't know that, I don't know whether you and I are going to see the outcome of all of this.
I know, Larry, we're so old, but I think we probably both got a good 10 years left in us, so maybe we'll get to see a bunch of this stuff. You said your brother's going to turn 80.
The long term, we may see some of the stuff happen. The long term implications of what happens is really what I'm talking about, and I think that's going to play out over time.
Oh yes,
as long as we don't get into a World War III type situation on the road.
Right. I did, Larry, though. Maybe you and I talked about this once before, kind of philosophically. I watch a lot of old movies. My wife and I love to watch movies, from the beginning. We actually went back and looked at all of the Academy Award winners starting in 2027.
Yeah, I think we did the same thing.
Did you? Okay. And so, you look back and you go, okay, we've had the most incredible industrial revolution.
Yeah.
You had the industrial revolution, then you had the next revolution, whatever you want to call that.
The electric revolution.
Electric revolution from 1900 to say 19.
Yeah, you should read the life of Edison.
Yeah.
Because in a way, Edison embodied that world.
Right.
He really, if anybody was the Elon Musk
right.
of the electric revolution, it was Edison.
Right.
Because almost every major invention, he had a hand in one aspect of it or another.
Yeah. And then you had the electronics revolution starting in the 50s and the internet revolution starting in the 90s. So we've had this amazing increase in wealth, this amazing increase or decrease in poverty, huge increase in people's ability, what do you call it, in their ability to read, from 5% being able to read to 95% being able to read. I mean, just amazing changes, let's say since 1850 to now would be a great place to look at this change. And yet you watch those movies in the 20s and life kind of looks a lot the same. People get up in the morning, go to work. People come home, they watch. In those days, they listened to the radio, and these days we watch the TV. I mean, Larry.
But if you go back to the 19th century, before 1870,
right,
then life was different.
Yeah. No radio.
Yeah. So the question is, are we going to go through just another electrical revolution, or sorry, some sort of
Be the
age
of intelligence revolutions or something.
Yeah, but AI is different. The AI will definitely, the question whether it will exercise our minds or dumb down our minds.
Yeah. Well, that's.
And on that note, I'm going to leave you because our next conversation, we will be talking from my home soil. Yeah,
and hopefully that'll be Monday night at our regular time, Larry. So we'll see. Right. We'll see if we can put that together. All right. So thank you so much for coming on and helping us wrap up this absolutely incredibly amazing week, Tesla-wise.
Amazing week.
Absolutely amazing. All right, and to all of you out there, been great talking to you.